Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 97 of DevChatter. My name is Brendan, as you can see right here. Hello everybody, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is for you. I hope you're all having a great Tuesday. I am ready to write some code today. Here on the channel we're going to do some interesting stuff. For those of you that are new, welcome. You are in the right place at the right time. We are going to be doing some C# coding today. And as I was mentioning to people yesterday, I was thinking about doing some kind of coding that is along the lines of a design pattern, and I think that's what we're going to do today. I wasn't sure whether I was going to get steered off of that or not, but I think that's where we're going. Hey everybody, welcome. I see a bunch of people saying hi in chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a structure into our chatbot today that I think is going to be very valuable to us in the long run. And I say this because we have been trying to solve a couple of problems in our code without adding in a new structure to help us. And that, I think, is something that has been making it a bit of a challenge. So today we are going to add in a piece of, I'll call it DDD tech, so domain-driven design tech, that I think will help us a lot in achieving our goals. So let's start off by talking about our project and where we are going to go with it and what we're going to do. But actually, before I jump into that, I have one other thing of housekeeping that I need to get done. So if you are new here, welcome. You may not know this, but on our stream here, we push all of our code out onto GitHub, and I restarted the bot a moment ago, so the bot's not running, and so when I did that command, it didn't go. Let's go ahead and start the bot again. Zoltralord, Coated Beard, Kevin, VFRZ, S&B, welcome everybody. I see a whole bunch of friendly faces here in chat. We're going to start up the bot and I will try that intro again. Okay, so as I was going to say, all of our code is out on GitHub, so you can check it out there. If you're interested in chatting with the rest of us, there are a bunch of us that talk on Discord. That is a great place to find it. And I want to talk about some of the series that we do here. I do a series called Solid Saturdays. That is, every Saturday I focus on a solid principle of object-oriented design. And we do a stream on that topic. In addition, I sometimes have guests on the stream, and that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I talked about. Thursday, so that's our next stream, because we stream on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Tuesday, you'll see up there on the list, I have Cassandra Ferris is going to be a guest here on the stream, and we're going to do a Q&A session where we're going to talk about networking and engaging the developer community, and how that can translate into growing your career, whether through just being able to find the jobs you're looking for, finding the places, being able to have the connections with other developers to accomplish whatever your goals are in the industry. So I want to talk with her a little bit about that because she is a great networking person that I have known for quite a while, and she is fairly engaged in a number of different communities. So I think that'll be a good one. If you have questions that you want answered, I'm going to tweet about it, but you can tweet directly at me with those questions, or you can join our Discord and ask them as well. Hey Rex, hey Stoolpenner, welcome everybody. And Greendolf coming in with, what is that, 4-month tier 1 resub there. Don't dry yourself. Actually, Greendolf, I am going to repeat myself. In most streams, I'm probably going to mention that at the beginning. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to jump into the code, because I'm sure that's what you all want me to do. So, I talked about a concept. I said we were going to do something that's kind of domain-driven design related. It's an aspect of it. We're not going full domain-driven design on our application right now, but I do want to pull in one aspect that I think will be useful for us. And that concept is called a domain event. So that's where I'm planning on starting out today. Zoltralord, are industry conferences still relevant and worth going to compared to finding communities and other resources online? Zoltralord, yes. I do believe they are. There are a number of great connections that you can make in person that are harder to make online. Okay. So we have events. And events are something kind of different from what we're doing right now, I think. So we have command handler, which is sort of like an event, but it's not a domain event. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make an interface, and I am going to call this... I'm going to make an interface called iDomainEventHandler. Now, when I build this, I'm going to put all these classes here together, and we're going to write some unit tests on them, but we're not going to separate them just yet. So they're going to be in the same class, in the same file, not because I want them to be there long term, but I think it's going to be a little easier as we develop them to have them all right here, and then we'll split them up once we get them in place with the names and things that we think we want to use, which will reduce the amount of file renaming that I have to do as we do this. Okay, so right now I put it inside of bot core events. So I'm going to make bot core events, and we're going to do a folder called domain event handling. And I think that's the name we're going to go with on that. But I want to get the structures in place because it's hard to go straight TDD with like objects that you're planning on making, because you can kind of say like, oh yeah, I want to do that, but then you don't really know where that class goes either. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make domain event handling tests for now, and then we're going to do a class that is what's a good name for this? Foo should. Alright, it's going to be foo should for now, and we will fix it once we figure out what that name should be. So we're going to use XUnit, which is the unit testing framework that we use on this project, and then I am going to public void do something. You like all these permanent decisions I'm making here. Given something. So we're going to go super generic right now. There's nothing about this that says anything, and I'm going to run this test. Once that goes, I'm going to ignore it because I want to jump back here and figure out what these need to be. So our domain events, I want to make a public class. I want to make a domain event handler, and we're going to make it of T. So domain event handlers are going to have a type of event that they handle. So what is it? Where T is a base domain event. Now that doesn't exist yet, but it's about to. Public abstract class base domain event. Okay, so now what we've set up is we say there's an interface called iDomainEventHandler that is going to be for a generic kind of T. And that T can be any type as long as that type is also a base domain event. So we need something that implements, inherits, whatever you want to call it, base domain event. So that means that we want to create special objects for this that have certain properties. So one thing I think is going to be useful across base domain events is the time that it happened. So time triggered, maybe time triggered. Yeah, sure. Time event triggered. Time event triggered. There we go. Inside of our handler, we need to have a void handle, and it needs to take in a T. So this is, what is it? It's, event data? Ooh, I like it. Raised. Thank you. Perfect. Time event raised. Thank you, S&B. See, pair programming. You get such better names when you get someone else to chime in. It's hard to come up with a name when you're the one doing it. Could not be declared as a contract. Oh, do I want it like that? Okay, hang on. We'll figure this out in a second. Base domain event handlers to use that for this. Base domain event. Alright, so our initial event, because we actually do need one of these in order to test it, is we need to have a public class called... So the first event I was thinking of handling is command created event. This will be a base domain event. And command created event is for when we create new commands in our system. So if we create a new command for the bot, we want this to trigger so that the bot will automatically update its list of commands with the new command that was created. So on this, I want to have a bot command. So that's the actual command that was created, or an instance of it, that we're going to use. So we have the bot command. This, time event raised. I want this to be datetime.utc now all the time. Whenever you make this object, it's automatically going to be UTC now. So I can just set the property using an auto property initializer. Okay, next thing, I want to set this from my constructor. So initialize property from constructor. Boom, done. Okay. I think that's the basic structure we need for those. The last thing we need is something actually implementing this interface. So let's go ahead and say create a derived type, and we will call this one, what is it? It's command create. Command created event, which means I don't need that, because that is the type. We will make this public and implement the members. There we go. Alright. Command event throws an exception. That's perfect. I think that is what we want to do. Now we need some way of raising the event. So, I want to make another interface for that. And as I said, these are not going to live in this file long term. I just want to create them here, and then we'll split them all up. But this shows us all the pieces that are going to be involved. So we're going to do a public interface, and we're going to call this iDomain event raiser? Sure. Raises domain events. This is going to have void raise event. It takes in a base domain event. Ooh, is that going to be... hey, welcome. Long time no see. Base domain event. Is that what I want to call this? Yeah, okay. I was just thinking whether or not that should be generic or not. And I guess we won't. We'll just do it this way. So we'll have a domain event raiser. We will raise the event, and And okay, I guess we're gonna... things are going well. We are doing... We'll try this and see how it goes. Sorry, I gotta... Every once in a while I gotta think about how I want to solve something. Alright, so we're gonna do... Public class domain event raise domain events. Okay. So we now have a bunch of stuff that we are going to break up into separate files and everything like that, but first I want to get them tested and figure out if I want to move it to another namespace first. I think I might. I think we might want to do domain events as a separate type of thing. I am a domain event raiser. Hey, Wheatlaw. We are... adding in a concept called domain events into our project. So, here's what I want to do. So it's going to raise the events. We're going to need to have it, I think, have all the handlers. I think that's what we'll have it do. So we will have it take in an iList of I domain event handler. Of T. Okay, in order to take in the domain event handlers, if we're going to do it that way, then we have to have iDomain event handler of T. Right? It's the only way that we can do it, is if we accept it this way. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So that brings up a question. How do I get that collection? Yeah, exactly. Thinking. I don't know yet. I'm gonna wait on that. We'll get that in a second. But there's an open question of how we're gonna get that data. So what we may need to do, we may need, I don't like the idea, but we might need access to the container there, which I really don't like. Because if we do, then I'm going to need to put this over in some other project. The actual event raiser itself. But let's look over here for now. So we're inside of, excuse me, the domain event handling test. So new domain event handler. Is that not what it's called? Public class domain event raiser. Oh, command event handler, right? New command event handler. There we go. This will just be called event handler. New simple command, and it's going to be string response and no role. So foo. Hello world. Okay, so there we go. What's the next? Thank you for that, SMB. Yeah, so you can find information about the music down below, if anyone is interested. Okay, so we call the handle method in order to handle that event. So when we do that, we end up with, so we have a domain event handler that's domain event handler. It's going to pass that in. And it could have need some way of letting someone else subscribe to this. Handle, hang on. Yeah. Handle a domain event. Okay, so we handle our domain event. iDomain event handler. This object needs to be accessible by anyone in order to get this to work. We raise the event. When we raise the event, we need to have a collection of handlers. So I am going to add the private list of handlers, and we'll figure out in a moment how we get this. What are you trying to build? An event system? Yeah, Wheatlaw, we're going to build a basic event system for our code here. So, here's the thing that's getting me. I think maybe the only way to do this is to make it so that there is some kind of event handler class that they all also implement. And that just happens to be how it works. And they all have a handle method or something like that. So maybe there's an abstract in addition that doesn't know about the T or something like that. Here's what we could do. Instead of making the domain event handler have the T up here, we put it down here, and we make this restriction down on this object instead. So we'll put the restriction on the handle event, and not up here. Can we get away with that? So it wants a T where this T is that. But we only want to handle this one. There's got to be a good way to do that. Yeah, so these are structures. I've implemented domain events before. It's been a while. And yeah, the funny thing is, once you get it built, you just use it and you kind of forget how it works. Because you don't dig into this code ever again. That's why you write it, is so you don't actually have to work on the domain events. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say this is our... handle event should. So that's going to be the name of the class. And then once we get the name of the class in place, we're going to say handle event should do something, given something is still fine. When we create a new command, everything that wants to be able to... So this handles it. Everything else I think needs to be able to be subscribed to the event. Right? Everything else needs some way of being able to say, hey, I want to listen for that. So we have to come up with what we want to do for listening to an event. We need to say, hey, I'm paying attention to that event. So, so we need to subscribe to not this event. Maybe just the handler? Okay, how about this? How about this? I had an idea. I've got an idea. Here we go. Here's the thought. Okay, so we were doing this. Let's get rid of that type there. So we're going to do what I was planning on doing. We're going to remove that. We're going to put this on the method. So we're going to make the method generic for now. We'll see how this goes. We're going to add the missing member here. Now we have command created event. Is not really a thing we want. We want to handle any domain event where it's one of these. And instead of being the command created event handler, we'll call this the domain event handler. Not huge on that. But now we can give this a collection of iHandle Wheatlol, what happened? Oh, you pasted a link. Run, add listener, remove listener. Yeah. That's sort of kind of what we're doing. So we will say, yeah, sure, and I like that name too. So let's do void add listener. Add listener. That'll be a iListener of T listener, where T is a base domain event. We don't have listener yet. In C# it would use action. Oh, yeah. So we could take in actions, which are methods to call for that. Yes, we could do that. Add listener of T. T is a base domain event, and then we will have remove listener. Now what happens when we do this? Yeah, so I'm not going for that route, Wheatlaw. I'm looking for something else, slightly different. I want an interface that someone can apply to their class to be, and then subscribe to domain event handlers. Yeah. So, and thanks for that, Green Dove. I am trying to implement something else. It's kind of like that. It's a little different. And I haven't written it in a while, so that's why it's taken me a minute to remember how to set this up nicely. An exact structure can change based on what we want to actually have here. So for now, I want to do an iList of... And they're really not listeners at that point. Because we could just do actions of T and just hang on to them, and that would technically work, but I don't like the idea of just wiring in, here's this method that you need to call back to. Although it's really not the worst approach. Once we have that, we would go through... Okay, so when we fire off an event, what we're going to do is we are going to want to get the handlers and then call the handler that has that. Sort of, Wheatlaw, sort of. You end up with a copy by... Potentially, yeah. So, hang on. Let me think about this. So we create this iListener, and we'll just say, whoops. So those are handlers. Whoops, remove handler. When we add those to this, then that is a collection that one needs to respond to. The problem is we can't do an iList of iHandle of base domain event because that's not what those objects are unless we cast them. But I don't think we can cast them to that because the type's not really there. Handlers is a new one of these, and so the problem is we can't just add, whoops, it's an iList, not a list, Brendan. Why are you doing that? It's a list. Wait, what? List of those. Why can't I modify that? Oh, underscore, because I did handler. Duh, derp. Add because Iliya should have had add anyway. So we're going to say add our handler, and it can't do it because it's not the right type, and even if we change that, it becomes that, and then that doesn't work. We need an iHandler-based domain event. Okay, so I don't think that works that way, so I don't think we can go that route. I think what we're going to have to do is actually take in the container, as much as I don't like that. So, container builder, I don't want that. I need the actual container. So let's go to the reference, which is going to be in startup. iContainer, that's what we need. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have this accept an iContainer. Not a big fan of this. We're going to see what we get out of it, though. Because I don't think that it can build it on its own otherwise. Because I think what we need... Whoops. Yeah, that's probably fine-ish for now. I didn't really mean to do that, but... Container. We'll see why. Alright, so raise event needs to raise an event with the... Oh, sorry. Derp. Not the handler. I think I want to put this down here, not there. When we raise the event, this is how we get all the handlers. This is a constructor. Oh, right, yes, I renamed it. Derp. Okay. Domain event raiser, iContainer container. I'm gonna learn a lot of bad habits from mine. I can leave the Discord. Oh, we can all learn stuff from everybody. We all have awesome stuff that we do. Let me think. So if I want to handle this, let me... Okay, so in order to get this... Domain event dot get type. So this is the type that it actually is at runtime. Where's my handler right now? Domain event handler, but I put the T down there. I'm gonna move T back up here. Instead of on the handle method, we're gonna put it back up there. Let's see if we can't make this work. Not bad. Okay, where T is that, we're going to get rid of the handle method, the handle class. Make this, instead of a T, we're going to make this command created event. Again, like we did originally. Command created event handler. Instead of doing that, we're going to put in the actual one. Okay, so that should get us that basic type. Now we need one of these, and the way that you get a type that's generic, but you get the actual type, is you do a type of, and you pass it in with an empty set of, like, without specifying the T. Thanks for that follow, Hinette, by the way. Okay, so this would get us the actual generic type. But if I want to get a generic, the specific instance of that t, whatever t this object is that was just passed in here, because it's not that type. We want at runtime what that type is. I think I say make generic type substitutes the elements of an array of types for the type parameter of the current generic type. So I can pass in type, which we'll call event type. And then this will be handler type. So there's our handler type that we need. So now I think we can say to the container, get me an instance of that type, right? So if I resolve a handler type, that should get me the handler, I think. Yeah. It will come back as, oh, actually, no. There should be a, right, I'm not thinking. I don't want to resolve one. Is it resolve all? Resolve many? Is there not a, oh, right. I need a list of these then. I need a list. Hang on. Do they have a shortcut for this before I go and just try to do my list thing? So I register that? Yeah. Okay, so the only way I can do it is to just ask for an IEnumerable of the type that I want. Maybe if I, hang on, let me try this. So do I have to do this? I want to say list type equals type of ilist make generic type. Handler type. So now if I resolve list type, I don't really want an object, so I'm going to leave that as var, and we're going to call this handlers. So we'll say handlers, and we will cast this. Can we cast this as anything relevant at all? I guess each one. So this is just straight up. Do I have link? Let's grab link. I'm doing some weird stuff right now. This is actually kind of fun, to be honest, because I'm messing with weird types. It's kind of mind-bending, to be honest. Anything having to do with grabbing types in C# is mind-bending. This code, I'm going to hide this somewhere. I don't know if we're going to do this here or in the constructor or where we're going to do this, if we even do this. I want to select on this. So I am going to make this an enumerable, because I think it needs to be. Hi, my name is Greendorf, and I'm a system.reflection addict. Yeah, Greendorf, it's really crazy the stuff you can do. So if this is cast as that, can I just cast it as an iList and not worry about what the type is? But then I don't get access to any of the link because they're not considered to be generic. See, now part of the challenge here is when feeling the need for system.reflection, you are certain you messed up somewhere before. Not always. There are a couple of instances. Opportunity for reflection. There are a couple of pieces of magic that sometimes use reflection. But realistically, reflection's not the awesome piece. IOC containers are usually the piece that let you do nice bits of magic. But you want to keep your magic minimal. Right now, we've got a little more magic than I'd like, and it's really because of the fact that I'm trying to get a list of them. And it all stems from the fact that I wanted it to be generic here. Yeah, I agree, Wheatlaw. I'm not huge on it right here. So essentially what I'm trying to do is I want to make it so that you can just register your handler with our IOC container, and then the domain event raiser will automatically know about it. That's what I need to figure out how to make happen. Because there's got to be a way. LNG grinds. Yeah, there should be... The IOC container should be able to get me it. The problem is, I can't define the type without doing this. This is the object I need, and I can resolve it out of the IOC container, but then what I get back is an object. So, because it doesn't know how to get me, like, I don't know how to tell it, hey, this is the type of that object. Because I then can't cast it because there is no type. That's the weird part. So I almost want to be able to, like, cast this as something, right? And that's the challenge, is what do I do once I've got this type? So I'm sort of trapped in C#'s type system right here. Because it is a very strong static type system in C#. So I have to know what that type of the object is in order to even use it at this point. I guess, actually, what if I just tried to cheat a little bit? And welcome, C# Fritz and friends. Greendolf, no, I don't. Well, I'm hoping I don't. I'm hoping I don't. The container doesn't. Yes, no, Greendolf. So here's the problem. So list type is an iList of domain event handler of whatever type I just used. But the problem is when we get those back. Yeah, so when I get those back, I end up with a handler that is just an object. And that's the challenge, is I need to know what that object's type is. Because I cannot call it like this, because this is not a compile time thing. And sadly, iList needs to get something else, and so I have to say it's an iList of domain event handler, and then I have to go one step further, and I have to say event type. But that's not one either. So I can't quite get it. I want an iList of iDomain event handler of base domain event. Yeah, Wheatlaw, where base domain event isn't base domain event, it's the runtime equivalent. That's what we need to get to. That's what makes it a challenge. Because we need the we need to actually have the correct one, because it needs to be this. So when we run it, this is the object I need to get back, and this is not an iDomain event handler of type base domain event. It's an iDomain event handler of command created event. I am gonna Google for a second. I want to find out if someone did a nice domain event that does this kind of thing. A collection. Hang on one second while I dig through and see if I can find someone that did a structure kind of like this. Someone must have done one like this and solved this same problem. Raising Phoenix, hey, welcome. We are bending our minds on some static typing in C#. I am looking for how other people did this. I need to get... so, right now I'm trying to get an iList of domain event handler of the runtime type of whatever this abstract class's instance is. The problem is the opportunity for reflection. Yeah, I wish I didn't have to use reflection. If I could get away without it, I would love to. If I can't come up with a better way, I am going to go the action route. So we'll see whether or not I can get the nicer model working. Ooh, what if I did this? Now I have T. I think I got it. I think that's what I have to do to make that work. Yeah, I know, if I could just cast it. I wasn't able to cast before, that was the problem. Okay, hang on. Let me, sorry. So what's the problem? AFK for a sec. No problem, Wheatlaw. I'm sure AutoFact can handle it. Yeah, so LNG Grides, apparently it can handle it. We can get it this way. I didn't think of that type there. What would be the next line of code if you could just... Yeah, so if I could cast, I would have just called them. Onto the caller of Raise Event. No, Greendolf, Raise Event has the object. Raise Event actually has the object, so we should not have a problem there. So Raise Event already knows, it's the one that actually knows the type. Okay, so, now, our ways that we can handle this. So, Domain Event Raiser, I'm debating this. Hang on, we're gonna start this way and I'll fix it later. Fix it later. Don't kill me, please. Wait, no, we need that. No, we're not gonna go that way. Yeah, Greendolf, I didn't think about it. My brain wasn't working for a minute there. Give me a break. Give me a break. So at the time that we call that, we're gonna have the type, so we can pass that in, so we have all of these. I'm gonna worry about that in a second. We're not gonna call it just yet, so we're gonna say, what do we want to do? Retrieves a service from the context. What's it have? What? I forget what this does if it doesn't have one. That's a good question. We should find that out. So for each handlers, var handler and handlers, handler dot handle domain event. So effectively, our registration for the domain event raiser is the IOC container then. And that becomes how it works. So just getting yourself into the IOC container gets you registered for handling the events, which I like. Because then anyone that wants to handle them does not actually need to know about this. The only things that need to know about the domain event raising is something that sends out events, not something that handles them. So that's why I like that approach. Base domain event is an abstract class. It has these types. Command created event has those. Let me take a look and see what has changed. I'm going to save all files like that just to make sure. Okay, good. Alright, so let's take a look at the test. So handle event should. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to do the domain event raiser one. Domain event raiser should not fail given no handlers. So I want to make sure that if there are no handlers registered, that this thing does not fail. So we're going to say domain event raiser, and it needs a container. So we're going to give it a new mock of iContainer from AutoFac. We're going to say .object. We're going to call this IOC container. I'm going to say IOC.container.setup. We need to have a response ready, so when x.resolve is called, Actually, it's going to be resolve of ilist, whoops, system collections generic, please. An ilist of domain event handler of command created event. So that's what's actually going to get called. We want it to return. I think I want to simplify this name. iHandler. There we go. Slightly nicer. This is going to return a new. This is going to return a new list of that type, but there's not going to be anything in it, so it's going to come back with an empty list, I think, which might be what it returns. I'm going to have to figure out what autofac returns on that. Event handler of that type, and then when we say this is not an event handler, this is a razor, not to be confused with razor. Raise event of that new type, command created event with a simple command. And now IOC, this should just not fail. So we're going to run that, see what happens. Test fails, that's fine. Why did it fail? Invalid setup on extension method. What? Throw if setup expression involves unsupported member. Well, that's a new one on me. Twitchlove, razor.raise event. Hello, stream. Hey, Twitchlove. Welcome. I just realized I don't actually need to pass in the object there, because we're not really using it for this test. Okay, so it does not like my resolve. Oh, yes, mocking. Right, it's an extension method. Derp. That's not a method. It's an extension method. I forgot. Resolve isn't actually a method. Resolve is calling something else. So how do we mock mock autofac integration for autofac IOC documentation? Dependency mock automock. What's get loose mean? That's interesting. Creates. Interesting. Do I have this? Autofac extras muck. Huh. That's kind of nice. I didn't know this was here. There we go. So we're going to manage this NuGet package and add it in. That sounds great. Browse. Yeah, Wheatlol, somewhat. We're moving forward again. So we're going to install this. That should let us get a mock of Autofac, I think? I don't know exactly how it's going to work. Let's try this. Let's see what it does. That's our system under test. Class will inject a mock dependency into the system under test constructor. Okay. But I don't then know how I'm going to use that. It'll get me an IOC container. That'll be that, and then this can just come up here, and it will wire these up using its actual values that it thinks we should be using. I don't know. Thanks, Wheatlol. Yeah. Autofac resolution extensions, raise events. Maybe I try resolve? Out that handlers so we say if that then we do this, then we for each the collection if it's exceeded. Whoops, I don't know where that came from. I must have control clicked it. Let's see what happens. Still no refs. I guess it just doesn't know how to create that. Alright, let's go this route then. Hang on. We'll go the other way for now, as much as I don't like it. So we won't create that. We won't do that. So instead of actually even bothering to create handlers, we'll just do events. We'll just do actions, although I'm not a big fan of it. command created event handler, do not like. So we have our domain event. Our domain event has an object. We want to raise that that event happened. When we raise that that event happened, we need to call all the things that are there to handle them. So let's make the domain event handler handle domain events of T, where T is base domain event, and it is going to have we'll do subscribe and unsubscribe. Base domain event. Subscribe, unsubscribe. So right now I asked for a base domain event, but really we want an action that takes a base domain event. Which maybe then once we actually get it working, I can get rid of the action and make it better. So we'll call this domain events. They're not actually base domain events. You are correct. Unsubscribe is one word. Nice, Wheatlaw. But actually, I'm still wondering about. I'm still hitting a type challenge, so I think I'm still running into the same problem, even with this, but maybe not. All right. Like it's a list of T of the things. So we still have that's the problem. Even going this route, we still run into this problem. So we have this, but I don't have a good answer for what this T is, because those actions aren't of that type. Yeah, LNG Grinds, that's what I was doing a moment ago, was putting the subscribe on the level of the IOC container instead of putting it here. But if we go this, so hang on. call this handlers. Can I do this? Does that count as one? It does. I think that'll work. I think that'll work. So now you register with this thing as the type that you want to be. And then down here, we get them and use them. Underscore handlers dot where. How do I get the type of this? So if I say, let's just do it this way because I think it's going to make sense. So var handler, if handler is action of t, then I want to treat it here as action. Then I can say action, and I can pass in the domain event. There we go. I think I got it. I think we just did it. So I think that's what we need here. Hang on. LG goes, what if just registering the class in the IOC automatically makes it a subscriber? Yeah, so LG Grinds, that actually was originally what we were going for. So if you saw our previous code, that's what we were going for. But what I couldn't come up with, Wheatlow, I don't know what you sent originally. You were talking about doing actions, yes, but we specifically need a type. Hang on, you sent a link. Let me see what your original one was. Hang on, you had this. You had a paste thing. Right here. You said listeners, mutable set of t of unit hash set that run value t that add listener. Yeah, they're kind of similar. The trick is was I had to remember that I can use a delegate to sort of lose the type there, but still be able to get it back. Yeah, exactly, Wheatlaw. But I think from this I can figure out how to get the classes back so I don't need to have the subscribe and unsubscribe. No, so the type's still there at runtime, but at compile time I can't have it, like, I have to have essentially something that can mean action of t here without actually being the action of t. So I need some other kind of wrapper to sort of hide it. The type system, so types remain there in C#. You do not lose types. This is not Java. Where in Java they have something called type erasure, where at runtime the type has disappeared. In C#, the type is always maintained for the object. I just don't necessarily always know it, and I need an object that can store it. And so at compile time I can go to a delegate, because an action is a delegate, and a delegate does not have a type. You lost more type info than you can lose in Java. cost of losing robustness. Wheatlow, I don't know what you mean. So, do you know what type erasure is in Java? This type is not gone. These objects are that same type they always were. That's how I'm able to. That's how I'm going to be able to get away with this line here. Try public class domain event handler of T. You want me to move the type up there instead of having it on these events. Which I could do, but then I need a different domain handler for each one. Which I don't think I want to do. Because I think I'd rather they all use the same domain event handler. No, so I was going to use one that would handle them all, one object that handled all of them. But I mean, I can move it up here and it should work the same. There shouldn't be a difference. Whether it's up here or down there. At which point, I don't have to define these as T anymore. And this disappears, but then the challenge is that I need many instances of this object in order to run, so then they subscribe to the specific one that they handle, which I guess works fine because, well, then here's the challenge that we run into. Down in the Razor, we now need to have more than one event handler. So now down here we need a collection of domain event handlers, which actually is fine. You are right. That is fine. Good call. That is not a problem. Well done. My list of these... wait, why can't I have that? Oh, oh, I need the type. Yeah, there's where I don't want it. I just want a single domain event handler. Because otherwise I run into the same kind of problem we had here. It's just in a different form, so we're going to add that. Domain event handler is going to be a type there, and I'm going to... Not going to scroll. There we go. And thanks for that follow, by the way. So we're going to put it back there for now. Let's finish it like this. We're going to do it like this. Unless someone actually has a nice way to do it, where I'm not going to just run into the problem where I just have to shift where we do that again. Let's see if we can't make this work. So here's what I want to do. I am going to write this in a way that we can do a simple, like, live test of it. So I'm going to make a new command in our bot that I'm going to call a DDNC07. Hey, welcome, long time. Why is it based on event and not iDomain event? Because I have a field on it, LNG grinds. I have a field that keeps track of the time. So it's an abstract base class instead of an interface, because they all are going to have a date that the event is raised, and then that's what it is. So and Wheatlaw's writing more code. What is this time? Event started event. You are using actual events in C#. Yeah, we could use events in C# instead of this model. Yeah. we could use actual events. These work slightly differently than events. Delegate handlers. Which I guess we could just wire it up with events. So what was I doing? I'm making a command for testing this. This is domain event. Those event instances are the same as what I posted earlier, not something from .NET. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Nightbot's gonna hit you every once in a while. It doesn't like links. So we're gonna do base command, and we're gonna implement our missing members. Let's go ahead and put in a command from the bot here. We're gonna say chat client dot send message. I've been called. And then I want this to raise an event. So, that does not need to get passed. We do not need to pass in the role here either. We're just going to say everyone. So there is our domain event. Wait, Wheatlaw, did you do another thing? I don't even see whatever one Nightbot just hit. I get links being a problem in game streams, but are they really big of a problem with these kind of streams? Retrobear, sometimes yeah, because, for some things it's probably, so like, I need to whitelist a lot of domains. The reason why we shut them down is because someone could send someone to a malicious link, and we don't want that, which does come up in developer streams as well as gaming streams. But that's why a lot of things are actually greenlit. So if you want to post links to code that is on Microsoft Docs or GitHub, things like that, a lot of those are actually whitelisted. Although some of the places like GIS and paste bins and things like that, I do need to allow those. Because those are code that are going to be commonly shared. So I should whitelist those, I just haven't yet. So this is going to say I've been called, and then we need to pass this an iDomain event handler, right? What did we call it? No interface. Oh, I don't want that. I want the razor. Sorry. Main event razor. Hang on. I'm just writing a thing so we can test this. Even if the underlying implementation of this changes, we still want this. So, yeah, Wheatlaw, my only guess on that one is that it's delayed on the previous links. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Domain event razor wasn't actually saved as a field. Use your noggin, Brendan. Raise event, new, command, created event. Sure, that sounds great. This. Okay, so we have that. So that'll fire off a command created with this one, which right now we're not doing anything with. So we can ignore that one. In addition to an event razor, though, we need something else. We want an no, we said it was called a domain event handler. Domain event handler, which we are going to say, well, no. How did that end up as the top thing on there? Resharper, that is worthless. NB might be delaying some stuff to rate limit. Oh, that could be, Userman. I forgot about that. It might be trying to avoid the rate limit. And Janiscu, I promise you that bot is not rigged. At least for that game. Actually, we don't need that. We just need to say domain handler, whoops. Domain event handler dot subscribe. with an action that is going to be defined in here. So we're going to say foo. This is not going to be of type T. This is going to be don't need to define a T there. This I don't think is actually needed, right? Foo, that. I'm so confused. Why, subscribe is a, it takes in an action of type T. So I need a new action of type, okay, right, yeah, so okay, so that does work. Times event raised equals 0. So we do that. Yeah, sure, we'll do it as a local function, why not? Oh, then it has to be cast. So no, we're not going to do that. So we're going to say foo, that, and then there's the type, and then I've been called $, underscore times event raised times, and then that might work. Kotobotov, hey, how's it going? No, we're not doing coding game today. What's the signature of Enterprise if I code? Yeah, no, we're working on our chatbot today. I'm trying to do a thing that I thought would actually work more easily than it has. I haven't done this kind of code, so like, this is an underlying domain events layer inside the project that I'm trying to build. And I'm debating whether or not I should have just done this one off the stream and shown up with a completed one and been like, hey, here's how it works, and explained it instead of trying to do it on the stream, because it's been a long time since I've written this. But I've used these types of objects for many years. And I'm a big fan of having domain events because it's very loose in the communication usually, unlike actually subscribing to events. And that's why I was trying not to use the actual event structure of C# in order to run this. In order to make this work, I need to do two things. I need iDomain event raiser and domain event handler to both exist. So let's go to startup. And for now, I'm just going to toss them in here. Wait, do I have a core module? No. Why don't I have a core module? Core module. Module. Oh, there we go. So I want this type registered, and our core module is going to do it. Builder, builder, register type. What? I'm smoking something this morning, I think. Register type. There we go. Main event handler as self on that one. And then this one is domain and event raiser. Oops, I wanted as domain event raiser, and this is going to be a domain event raiser is one of those types. There we go. Evening, lucky number 7. Welcome. Thanks, LNG grind. Yeah. No, yeah, doing it live is always the fun part. Because I can tell you, we make mistakes when we do it live. Every single time. Builder, register assemblies, and where are my modules? Where's module registration in here? Register module, register module. Nothing special in that module. No? Okay. We'll do it that way, that's fine. So register that, and now when we try to run this, let's see if it works. Would you like to use Akka? Akka? If I know what that is, I'm not remembering right now. Akka, build powerful concurrent distributed applications more easily. It looks familiar, but I don't remember it exactly. So if I've looked at it, it's been quite a while. Okay, so, did that run? Yes, the bot has arrived. Okay, what did I call it? Domain event. Domain event. Nope. That is not incrementing. Why did that not increment? Did that not get called? We're gonna do this. We're gonna watch it. Let's debug. I forgot I didn't actually write that code, did I? Raise event. Yeah, do nothing. Good. Derp. I figured out why it doesn't work, guys. I think I might have figured out what we were missing. Oh, yeah, so we could do the same kind of thing. So we could use a messaging system the same way that we use domain events. That they serve basically the same purpose. So we could wire up messaging here in, like we could, connect in service bus or something like that to do messaging if we wanted. Domain event. Nope, still doesn't increment. Need to be static. Is it a singleton? Twitchloff. Because the command it's in is treated as a singleton. While it's not one, it sort of will be, because we shouldn't get a new object when that happens. So, we create that new object. Let's toss a breakpoint there, and we'll check out the event when it gets called. Burp. Yeah, so, do. Hang on. Let's try that again. Only without me clicking the wrong stuff while we're debugging. Okay, so we're in here, and I hit next, and I didn't really want that one, I want this one. So we raise the event, we handle the event, there are no handlers, so here's the problem. I didn't actually subscribe ever. Because I said I didn't like the fact that we were going to have to subscribe, but that's the way it was working anyway. Oh, it subscribed right here. Did this not happen? Is that not the same object? Ooh, maybe it's not the same object. You guys might be right. Let's toss in some breakpoints. Let's find out what's happening here. So it does a bunch of stuff already. Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it might be that the domain event handler is not the same one. So good call. I think you got it. You are correct. So domain event handler. We need there to be only one of that, because things need to subscribe to it. Final goal for the bot. I guess that's a... that's more of an interesting question. So, I have a lot of things that I would like to do with the bot. One of the ones that's been a long time goal for the bot is to do some on-stream games and things like that. So, we already play games in the chat, but we want to play games up on the screen as well. So, we're going to be doing... So we already actually have a canvas that displays over top of the screen. So we can manipulate whatever we like up there, but I kind of want to make some games that are involving actual input from players that are inside the chat room. So I think that stuff will be fun. Yeah, so as Janisku mentions, we do have a Hangman game that plays out on the screen while we're streaming. But there's actually a more complicated game that I would like to create that should be up there. And thank you for that, Wheatlaw. Yep, there was the problem. So our domain events are firing now. They do work as long as you subscribe like this, which I'm not huge on. I don't like this method of subscription. I would rather have it be working a little bit differently. So I'm still going to commit this on the domain events branch because we're on a branch, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Adding domain events basic whip, adding domain events. I'm going to add the whip on the beginning, just so work in progress, just to let everybody know this is not meant to be used. There are major problems with this code. And the major problem right now is the fact that all of our code is still in one file. Wheatlaw, the thing that I would like to get to, instead of doing the event registration like that, I was hoping to have it so that our objects are just inside of the IOC container, and thus our handlers just being a part of the system are automatically wired up, so you don't actually have to subscribe manually, they just work automatically. That's what I was going for. So that's why I wanted the iHandler approach to work, to say the least. Move that to its own file. Move this to its own file. Oh, yeah, you can, Wheatlaw. I've done them before. You can absolutely make it happen automatically. Sort of. Sort of automatic. Oh, nice, Wheatlaw. Ha! Yes, as I said, I've done it before. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Nightbot's a little aggressive about blocking links to files. I wish it had better smarts on what it blocks. It's not the brightest of bots out there. So, let's see, base domain event. There's our event. Yeah, what I want to have is this. I want to have in the constructor for it to take in an iList of iHandler of T. But that T needs to be something. What if I did this? What if we did this? Hang on. So this is... Okay, so hang on. Thought. Brain's clicking here. Brain's clicking. I think I may have figured out how to do this, maybe. Actually, I'm going to leave this in place for now. Actually, why don't I just do this? Oh, no, because I already did that. You know what? I can redo that. We're going to discard those. We're going to make a public interface iHandler that has of T, where T is a domain, base domain event. Void handle domain event. Okay, so something wanting to handle this. Can you show what you mean with not doing the subscription? You can drop the T do basically. I mean, it technically can because I'm not using it, but once it will be required in the class that handles it. Create derived type. So this is going to be a command created handler. Public class this, and we don't need that piece there. It is a command created event. Oh, it's command created event handler. Oh, Yagni on the where? No, I think yeah, I guess I don't need it for now technically, but I don't know why I wouldn't have the restriction on that needing to be one of those events, but sure, we'll leave that off for now. It could. Okay, so we have this handler and it does a thing. Which I guess we'll leave it as not implemented exception in here for now, and we'll figure out how to wire it up later. So this needs to automatically be included in the set that this runs. This is the domain event handler. The domain event handler needs to have a list, so when it's constructed, it's supposed to take in the full list of handlers. Right, what was I thinking? I was gonna call these needed a base type. Base domain event handler. That's what it is. Alright, I mentioned that I had an idea, and this is the idea. Create this as an abstract base class that implements... ooh, does it implement? So there is our handlers. Get rid of subscribe and unsubscribe. Event handlers. Where event handlers is how do we make that happen? So we do a public abstract void handle. Give it a base domain event. And actually, we'll just call a domain event. Okay, so I now have that as an override of that. Domain event handler of T. Hang on. Domain event. If I do domain event handler of T is a domain event handler. Hang on. Sorry, just thinking this through. Domain event handler of T is a domain event handler. I'm gonna get rid of this for now. Let me go a slightly different route than what I was doing. Okay. I guess I could use base just so we're not getting confusing here. So the base domain event handler. The domain event handler of T is a generic handler. It's going to take in a constructor. In the constructor, we are going to have an I handler of T. And our handler will just be called handler. We're going to set it as a property and then use it down here. Whoops, handler. What? Isn't it handle? Did I seriously call it handler? Derp. Okay. Handle, but I want to pass in T domain event. Oh, I can't cast that because I have to say where T base domain event. Okay, now I can pass that in. Everything's a base domain event handler, which has no generic. This type is a generic. It's actually wrapping these. So this thing, we get a set of these of the specific types. That's a base domain event. And then inside of our razor, take in a list of base domain event handlers, which these will all be registered as. Instead of having them as actions, handler, we don't need to do that. We can just say handler. Oh, wait, I need to... Hang on. Where it's this type, right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to say if domain event is T, concrete event. Alright, I'm going to rename this from domain event to base event. I don't know what it's trying to rename there. Oh, on this, yeah. That would actually would have been fine. It was right. You were right, Resharper. I was wrong. You were right. So if base event is a T, make it a concrete event, pass it into the handler. So now I should be able to call handle regardless of the type on each one of these. So we don't need to cast it, we just need to say handler.handle domain event for whatever type it is, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and that's fine, because that's not the one we needed then. Event time raised, domain created. Okay, I think that'll work. So, now when I go to my domain event command, so when I go here, I can actually say I handle command created event. We no longer need the handler. So the handler, this is the auto wire up. We do not need the handler anymore. The razor is what's going to fire it off. So that's when the event is called. We trigger that, and then we want to get down to this. So now here's the trick. We need to get this, our domain event handler, registered as one of these. So in order to do that, I need to go to my core module that we created. Wait, can it? Wait, what? Can it really register it that way? I guess I'm about to find out whether or not it can. We're about to find out if this works or not. Sorry about the craziness today, everybody. I was not expecting this to be a challenging one. Domain event handler. Oh, am I even using this anymore? Actually, now that I think about it, I wired this up like this. I think it should have been in here. I think I did this wrong. I think this was supposed to be in the razor. That was foolish of me. When you raise the event, it just calls all of those. For each one, we just call handle on those. We don't need this one, that's why we had the confusion. That's why that was able to work. I wondered about that. That didn't make sense to me. I was like, how did I get that class? How was that able to wire up on the core module with that type that it was going in there as? Because it shouldn't have worked. So I want to say type of this as base domain event. There we go. Now I think it's going to work. Assuming I don't have a compiler or something on some little thing somewhere. Should be connecting. We'll see if it says hi in chat. If it does, that means it worked. But I think we missed a reference somewhere. Something's not registered. Oh, we we try to register the command list, which tries to get those, and these haven't happened yet. Core module has to come before the command list. My mistake. See, as I said, it was probably going to be some kind of small thing like that, because the command list has a dependency on being able to resolve all of the bot commands, which means that this one needs to have been completed by that point, and it's still errored. Huh. That one actually surprises me. An error occurred during the activation. See inner details. Okay. Inner exception, inner exception, inner exception, inner exception. Where's the actual exception, guys? Getting tired of this. Alright, there we go. None of domain event handler of T can be invoked with an I handler of T. So it doesn't know of any I handlers because I did not tell it that when we created the types. So ibot command should be in here somewhere, wiring up all of them. We should have done that right here at the beginning, base bot command as ibot command. But actually I want to see if I can do as implemented interfaces instead. So we're going to do it as all the implemented interfaces, which I think is going to wire up the piece we were missing. Basically, I think what happened is it said there were no handlers. And I think having 0 handlers is probably going to be an issue for it. But I think if you have at least one, it should wire up, I think. Doing a little bit of magic here. So we're going to debug this and check out what the error is to see if we can get that working. Inner exceptions all the way down. It's just turtles, everybody. Cannot resolve parameter I handler of T of constructor I domain event handler of 1T. Register all assemblies. Alright, so we're going to register those. Assignable to whoops. I handler like that going to be registered as type of I handler. So everything that's an I handler is going to get automatically registered as an I handler. Wheatlaw, we're doing magic right now. We're trying to, we'll say we're trying to cast a spell. Cannot resolve parameter I handler of constructor void. iHandler T, the domain event handler. So our domain event handler implements the iHandler of command created event, which allows it to just have this method and be wired up nicely. If we look at where it's called, it's here. This has a handler of that. So this is trying to get a reference to that. Domain event handler has access to the domain event razor. The domain event razor takes in a list of base domain event handlers, of which that is one. We registered do anything weird, type of that as type of that. It's per request. See if I can tell it that it's both. If I were you, I would basically implement an onStartup method and subscribe to the event. That's just it, is Wheatlaw, is that I know that this works. Like, I used to do this, I used to wire this up all the time, similar to this back in the old MVC days. I haven't wired this up this way in quite a few years, but it should work in theory. I'll admit I didn't use AutoFac, I used Structure Map back then. So the secret sauce, the magic, works a little bit differently, but I'm worried that we're circular in some way. Just because I'm creating this event. I used to do it for a true Wheatlaw. Doesn't necessarily mean it's good, but I do like the approach. So when I run that, well, the alternate way to do it, which I think would work, which I am not a fan of, is we go another route, and instead of doing this, we don't actually use the raise event until runtime, which I'm not big on. If we don't get the handlers till that point, it might work a little bit differently, and then we get the handler that we want. But again, it still feels not quite right. So, well, either way, I think I might accept defeat for the day and take a look at this another time, because a lot of times you just need to spend some time thinking about other stuff, and your solution will come to you. So, what I am going to bring up now is I want to remind everybody that we are doing a special stream on Thursday, and we are going to have a guest here, and it is Cassandra Ferris, and she is going to talk with us about different, like, networking with other people, like humans networking, not computer networking, and you know, connecting with the developer community, how to make sure that you have a good personal network so that you can move around, so that you know what types of places you want to work for, other things like that. So it should be a good one. We're going to do Q&A style. So I've been collecting questions from people on our Discord, which, by the way, if you're not on our Discord, you should be, and my bot's not running because I left it in this mildly broken state. Trying to get events going auto-magically. So we're going to say that, and then I am going to jump back to the master branch so that the bot works correctly again. And then I'm going to run it so that I get access to my bot while we end the stream here. And I want to say that you should check out our Discord if you haven't already. There are actually a bunch of devs that do talk about stuff, and over there is actually one of the places where we are collecting questions to ask on Thursday. I will also be posting a thing to Twitter about that to try and get some more questions that would be good ones for us to chat about on Thursday. Essentially, she will help people with their, career growth, we'll say. Alternately, if you want to work on any of our projects, you want to send us a pull request, you have any ideas for how we could run things better, you should check out our GitHub, and that is a great place to be able to contribute to our projects. They are over here. So on our GitHub, you'll see a number of projects, including our chatbot. So if you are interested in writing any code, we've got some instructions for setup, and you can do some pull requests, or you can tell us about issues, you can dig into the code, you can use it yourself, whatever you want, it's there. If you want to see some of our old content on this channel, our video section has a lot of good videos here on Twitch, and if you're on YouTube, obviously you can look there instead. But if you are here on Twitch, then that link to our YouTube channel might be useful. That's where the archives of all of our content is. So that's where we archive everything. Also, other things to mention. We stream 4 times a week, so if you want to check that out, the best way is to check out our schedule, and you can do our schedule and then put in a place, and it will come back and tell you when our schedule is. We stream 4 times a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So hopefully we will see you on Thursday. And if not, then on Saturday. And with that, I am going to take off for the day. Twitch Love, hey, thank you for the biddies. Much appreciated. So I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. And Wheatlaw, you followed. Thank you. And Kevin, thank you for the host. Much appreciated. I hope your stream went well. Sorry, I am actually taking off for the day, so we're just wrapping up the stream. But I do want to make sure that I thank everybody for showing up and taking the time to hang out with us today. I know we got a subscribe from Greendorf, so much appreciated. Oh yeah, and Twitchloff, your egg. Your egg is, how long until your egg hatches? I don't remember. Can't remember how many months you've been subscribed. But, yeah. So we'll be writing some more C# code on Saturday when we take a look at the Liskov substitution principle. We're doing a series of streams, as many of you know, called Solid Saturdays. So on Saturday, we focus on one of the solid principles of object-oriented design. And this Saturday is Liskov substitution principle. So if you want to learn about Liskov substitution principle, that is the stream to catch. So the way to do that is to... Did I make a solid? I did make a solid. Liskov substitution principle. So it's this one right here. If you want to get reminded of our streams, this is how you do it. You click on the Remind Me button right there or there, and you will get reminded when our stream goes live. So you can also follow the channel to get notified when we go live all the time. And all you have to do is leave on the notifications little thingy. And with that, I want to thank you all for showing up, and I'm going to roll my credits real fast. I think, yeah, there they go. Twitch Love, thank you for the biddies. Me, and S&B, thank you for moderating. Greendorf was here too. Wheatlaw, Math08, and Hinette, thank you for following. And Greendorf for the sub. So, take care everybody, happy coding, and I will see you on Thursday.